The winter season sees its peak covered with snow, attracting many tourists and skiers. The mountains also divide the fertile coastal plains from the dry interiors. Mount Kosciuszko, it is underlined, is the highest peak in Australia, which measures 2230 meters. The terrain of the Eastern Highlands is rugged. Human underline. Terrain is land. The surface of Eastern Highland is rugged. Rugged means uneven, up and down. Okay, marked with gorges and gaps. Please underline gorges and gaps. Gaps we know very well, the depressions. And what are gorges? Gorges are the deep eye-shaped river valleys with straight steep walls. Okay, the valleys are V-shaped, but their walls are straight, almost straight. They have deep eye-shaped deep valleys. Eucalyptus forests cover the slopes. Eucalyptus trees must have seen the tall eucalyptus trees. So they cover the slopes. Many of Australia's minerals like coal, copper, tin, oil and natural gas are extracted from the region. The Australian Alps, the New England ranges and Blue Mountains are the main parts of these regions. Please underline these parts. So Eastern Highlands comprise of Australian Alps, the New England ranges and Blue Mountains. Right. Next, children, next physical feature is Central Lowlands. Now, if we see where the extent of Central Lowlands, it stretches from Gulf of Carpentaria through the Great Artesian Basin to the Murray-Darling Plains. Okay, so this part, let's go refer to the map. This is the map on page number 135. Here we have the Great Australian Lake Bight over here, and we have the Great Artesian Basin. Can you trace Great Artesian Basin over here? Right. Here we have the Murray-Darling rivers. So Gulf of Carpentaria is here. From this region to here we have the darker region is the Central Lowlands. This area covers the Central Lowlands. Now it is the flattest part of Australia. The region is mostly desert. It is located to the southwest of the Great Dividing Range. The Central Lowlands have three distinct parts. Please underline. The Central Lowlands has three distinct parts. In the north, small rivers flow into the Gulf of Carpentaria. Right on the top, we have this part is Gulf of Carpentaria. So, in the north, small rivers flow into Gulf of Carpentaria. Then, second point is the central region has rivers which do not reach the sea and flow into the lakes of this area. This is an area of inland drainage. Now children, what is inland drainage? Inland drainage is when the the water of the rivers do not fall into the sea. Otherwise, the river water, they fall into the sea. But over here, the water in the rivers, they fall into inside the land itself, either into a lake or a pond. So here also the central part of Australia, the rivers do not reach the sea and they flow into the lakes of the area. Therefore, it is called an area of inland drainage. The southern region includes the drainage basin of Murray and Darling rivers. They are two important rivers of Australia. Okay, this region is very fertile because of the alluvial deposits brought down by the rivers. These rivers flow westward to the Great Artesian Basin. Great Artesian Basin is this side. So Murray-Darling River is somehow in this area. So you will find this area to be very, very fertile region. Next is the Great Artesian Basin. So one of the major features of Central Lowland is Great Artesian Basin. Let's study what Great Artesian Basin is. You can see the picture over here. You can see this figure over here. Now what it says that now Great Artesian Basin is a vast underground rock formation filled with artesian water. Now what is artesian water? Water contained within an artesian basin. Right? So what is an artesian basin? It's a structure in which water is confined under the pressure. Also, water from an artesian well need not be extracted through a pump. So there's a lot of pressure. Now I'll explain you how. Okay, first let's go through this. Now, it is also known as Great Australian Basin. So, Great Artesian Basin is also called the Great Australian Basin. Artesian water is underground water trapped under such great pressure that it gushes to the surface through any opening. The water can thus be brought into the surface merely by digging a well. It does not need to be pumped out. An artesian well is drilled into an aquifer. Aquifer is a region where the water is retained. You can say that confined. Okay, so the water gets accumulated or gets collected in that particular the two layers of rocks. The aquifer lies between two non-porous layers of rock. Now, what happens, children? Now, this is how I'll explain you, children. So, you know that the land surface contains the porous layer and the non-porous layer of rocks. The different layers of rocks. Okay, some layer of rocks are porous and some are non-porous. Now, porous layer of rocks are that layer which allows the water to percolate through it, that allows the water to pass through it. Okay, and non-porous are those hard rocks which do not allow the water to pass through it. Non-porous rocks do not allow the water to pass through it. So what happens when the surface of the earth has a crack? Okay, whenever it rains, what happens? The water seeps into this crack and may reach the bottom of the earth and pass through different layers. Now it passes through the porous layer of rocks and somehow reach in a surface where the layer is between the two. It reaches a certain point where there are two layers of rocks which are non-porous. This is non-porous, okay, porous, and here we have non-porous rocks, right? So what happens? The water keeps collecting in this non-porous layers of rocks. This is non-porous and this is also non-porous layers of rock, and the excess of water so collected in this region creates a pressure. Okay, so there's a lot of pressure created by the collection of water in this layer. Okay, when we dig a well, when a well is dug, you can see this picture. When a well is dug, but this water which is collected in, this is called aquifer. Aquifer is a layer of rock which is between the two non-porous layers of rock. This is a confined aquifer where the water is all collected. So when we dig a well, the water gushes out with great pressure. It doesn't need a pump. A hand pump is not required. Any kind of artificial pumping is not required to let the water come out. So water gushes out on its own with great pressure, which is called artesian well, right? So this is what Great Artesian Basin is. It's a vast underground rock formation filled with artesian water. Okay, and you'll find this in Eastern Australia. You can go through this table. Okay, so through this diagram along with the labels. Okay, you'll find this and just try to draw it in your these notebooks. Next is the Great Artesian Basin is the largest artesian basin in Australia. Okay, and it lies below a long part of Queensland, northern New South Wales, and northeastern corner of South Australia. And let's read about geography fact. Much of the water from the rivers originating from the mountains is lost through evaporation or flows into the salt lakes. The largest of the Australian salt lakes is Lake Eyre. It is very important. This lake is very important. It is the lowest part of Australia at 50 feet below sea level. Lake Eyre fills with water rarely and was completely dry for a century until 1950. Okay, so it's a very important geographic fact over here. Then let's come to The Western Plateau covers about 75% of Australia's land. It includes the Great Sandy, Great Victoria and Gypsum Desert in the center. So we'll just trace it in your map, please. The central part of this region seldom receives rain. We know very well the central part of Australia doesn't receive any rainfall. Therefore, this region is very dry. Water in this region comes in from a handful of permanent water holes. You'll find water holes present. And what are water holes? Water holes are the depressions, okay, in which the water gets collected. And through these water holes, only the animals, they intake water. Only the rare heavy downpour brings in some surface water. So there you will not find any surface water on this part of the region. You'll find surface water only if there is very heavy rainfall. The terrain is flat. The surface is flat, stony and sandy. So please underline. Terrain refers to the surface. Okay, the land surface is flat, stony and sandy. Vegetation is sparse, mainly consisting of scrub or tussock grasses. Now what are tussock grasses? Tussock grasses are the small grasses. Okay, these are the small grasses. This is a small area of grass that is thicker or longer than the grass growing around it. It may be thick. And this area has Uluru. Uluru is another name for Ayers Rock. And this is about 10 kilometers in circumference. We can just see the picture of Uluru in the previous page. This is the site of Uluru when there is sunset. So you can see it looks red. Now there's a geographic fact. Uluru is notable for appearing to change color at different times of the day and the year. It glows red at dawn and sunset. Uluru is sacred to the Aboriginal people, the Anangu. The Aboriginal people are also called the Anangu. Okay, the area around, so you can underline this Anangu and Aboriginal so that you come to know this Aboriginal are called Anangu. The area around Uluru is home to rock caves and ancient paintings. Uluru is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Please underline. Okay. Next is the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest coral reef in the world. It runs roughly parallel to the coast of Queensland, Queensland is in Australia for 2,000 kilometers. The reef is home to over 1 million diverse aquatic species. You'll find many aquatic, the species living in water, including thousands of fish species. It provides food for people living near coral reefs, especially on small islands. The reef is also a natural barrier protecting coastal cities, communities and beaches. It is a center of ecotourism. People come here to see this site of the Great Barrier Reef. And what is ecotourism? Ecotourism refers to tourism which is directed towards exotic natural environments. Okay, and it usually supports the conservation efforts and observe wildlife. No fishing is done in this region. Let's quickly go through the geography fact on this page. Corals. Corals are limestone skeletons of a tiny spineless animal called coral polyp. They are often mistaken for rocks. Okay, when you see them, they look like rocks or plants, but they are actually not. They are the skeletons. They are the limestone skeletons of the spineless animals. They harden and often create a ridge-like structure in shallow warm water in the tropical region. These are then called coral reefs. Coral reefs are bursting underwater communities with thousands of species of animals and plants. They grow slowly and may be less than 5 centimeters a year. So, the warm waters of the Southwest Pacific Ocean provide ideal conditions for the reef to develop. So, the reefs, they develop in the warm waters. And which is the right place to develop? This is Southwest Pacific Ocean. They serve as they provide ideal condition for the reefs to develop. The Great Barrier Reef has 600 continental islands and 350 coral bays. Okay, nearly 3,400 individual reefs make up this huge reef, and you'll find these many species of fish, these many reefs, and these many mollusks. Now, what are mollusks? Mollusks are animal which has a soft body. They do not have any spine, and they are often covered with shell. You must have heard of shells. Okay. Then there are 500 species of seaweeds, these many birds, sea snakes, sea turtle are also found over here. Then let's come to Tasmania. Tasmania is an Australian island and is also known as Australian state. It is located to 40 kilometers south of eastern side of continent, and it is separated from Australia by the Bass Strait. Please underline this name, Bass Strait. Bass Strait separates Australia from Tasmania. It was called Van Diemen's Land by Dutch explorer Abel Tasman, who discovered it in 1642. This we have already read, but now it is named as Tasmania in his honor. The land in Tasmania is rugged. Rugged is uneven. Rugged means uneven. Okay. It experiences a temperate climate. Temperate climate where it's neither very hot nor very cold. The vegetation varies from heavily grazed grasslands of dry midlands to the tall evergreen eucalyptus forest, alpine trees, and cool temperate rainforests and moorlands. So this is about Tasmania. And we will find the animals, Tasmanian devil found over here. We'll find European red fox found over here. And what is Tasmanian devil? It's a carnivorous marsupial. Marsupials are those animals which have pouch in their bodies, okay, for their to carry the young ones. So they are. So this is Tasmanian devil. It has black fur with white patches. Children, we are going to we are going to finish our topic up till here. The next video will continue with climate.